Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, Jason. We're
Cool.
really, really excited to be in front of the Thriveal audience. Jason and I met at a AI CPA thought leader event a few years ago. And you know, when you meet someone, you just kind of instantly hit it off and like it feels like they were your best friend forever. That's how I feel about Jason. So I'm so appreciative for all that he brings to the community. I wish we had reactions. I like to see people react. I'm sure y'all feel the same way about him and what all he's doing. So thanks so much for having us. I know there's a lot of interest in seeing TaxPlanIQ, and so we want to make sure that we dive into the product today. But I'm going to do a quick little intro to get you in the right mindset around why this matters, right? So I'm Dr. Jackie Meyer, CPA. I'm the founder and president of TaxPlanIQ. We are a SaaS platform that empowers you to be tax advisors, creating customized and automated tax proposals, presentations, and reports within 3 to 5 minutes, which Chris Perry, who's on our team and business development group, will be showing us in just a few minutes. So I'll do an intro through the slides quickly, and then I'll hand off and Chris will take and run with in-product demo, which is exciting. So our mission is very simple. We want to help you save clients thousands in taxes while building your own more profitable, balanced firms for yourselves. I went through all the highs and lows being a CPA firm owner. I transformed my own firm, which we'll learn about shortly, several years ago, and it just made everything so much more magical and beautiful and wonderful. And so we want to democratize tax planning to as many taxpayers and accountants, financial advisors, everyone out there that we can. And then I decided to go a little crazy and create this tax software so that other accountants could do the same. So I sold my own CPA firm and dove into the software development world, and it has been a wild ride, but we're having a lot of fun. So we like to start off these kind of demo presentations with a question. You know, what's really stopping each and every one of you as a firm owner or executive or, you know, a part of any accounting firm? I know you don't even call it accounting firms anymore. Sometimes we've got so many different varieties. So forgive me if I say CPA and you're not one, no offense whatsoever. It's just kind of, you know, old tradition thing. But what is really stopping you from doubling your revenue? It could be your overall strategy. It could be the roadmap that you're on. It could be time. Time tends to be a huge deal breaker for a lot of us. Staffing concerns, just confidence in being able to do it. There's a lot of reasons, right? And I know this Thriveal community, you want to grow. You're on the cutting edge. You're being modern, and you want to make sure that you're offering the best CAS and client advisory services possible. And so what we're offering is kind of a subcategory of CAS, which it hasn't quite caught on yet, but I call it TAS, so Tax Advisory Services. And less than 5% is what the data tells us of firms are truly succeeding at TAS, while it is the most lucrative, the biggest ROI service offering that anyone can do. The highest net profit margin. I mean, it's exploding. So what are those less than 5% doing that's killing it, right? What's missing? Well, it comes down to two things. The first is very personal. It's just a choice and commitment on our part to go all in on advisory and tax planning for your clients. And that's exactly what I did in my own firm. It tripled revenue. I decreased my clients from over 200 to 56, and then ended up selling in 2022 right at the 7-figure mark, which was quite an amazing blessing. The second thing that we're missing here is we need scalable and repeatable models and processes to increase the revenue, proactively help your clients. And that's really how TaxPlanIQ was born. So I had a really traditional CPA firm. I got really burnt out. I was getting sick. I was diagnosed with what my current doctor calls trash can diagnosis, which is chronic fatigue. IBS, and, you know, all of these things that are like, who knows what's wrong with her, but she just sleeps too much. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I was really, really burnt out, and I was tired of the grind of a traditional practice. Something really had to change in me in around 2014, 2015, or else I was thinking of just giving up on my entrepreneurial dreams, giving up on my own practice. And so in 2016, I really doubled down and I hired a business coach. I got involved in communities like Thriveal, where it's like, I need help and support, right? And through all that, I completely transported my firm from a traditional practice to leading with tax advisory. We wouldn't even take a client we couldn't do tax advisory for and get a return on investment for. And then I even created a calculator around it, the ROI method of value pricing, which is embedded in TaxPlanIQ. And the AICPA actually officially released it to members this year as well. So there was a lot of cool stuff that happened there. And I even got my own time down to 4 hours a week. Now, a lot of people are like, I don't know what I would do with all that extra time. But the point is that we standardized processes and we put all of that standardization into this product, TaxPlanIQ, to give you the easiest ROI for you, your clients, and really the world. So we're taking over the world here. Now, the National Association of Tax Professionals did a study and found that on average, 22 tax prep clients are equal to the revenue of one tax planning client. So let's say you would have charged that just one tax prep client. Let's say you would have charged $1,000 because it's a more complex 1040 and maybe business return or something. We're talking about $22,000 for that one client instead. And that's really the definition of working less, earning more. And it's such an opportunity at our fingertips. So clients are happier, they're staying longer, they're referring more, and your purpose and passion get truly fulfilled in the work that you do, which is what we all want at the end of the day. And then you can position yourself as a true advisor. So I don't need to preach to the choir here about, you know, the old method, the new method, going from compliance to advisory. I think a lot of you really grasp that. Please definitely pop in the chat if you do have any Q&A around it. I would love to discuss it with you. But we're trying to automate about 90% of the work in tax advisory so that you can have a much easier time with it. And so on that note, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to introduce Chris Perry, who is going to jump into TaxPlanIQ. I'm going to try to keep my mouth shut because, you know, it's my third baby, I call it. So I like to give color commentary. But yeah, Chris, over to you. Let's see what TaxPlanIQ can do for everybody.
Thanks, Jackie. I'll do my best to babysit today. I'm a pretty good guardian. So, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. Just to give you a quick background, I've worked in the tax industry for a while now. I've had the pleasure of helping to coach thousands of different firm owners on how to make this transition. So I have been able to see lots of different ways that this can work. And I have been able to witness a lot of the struggles and things that you guys have gone through and successes. So this is really fun for me to be able to show you guys this system because it is transformative once you get it. And if you guys want to, I love to be a little interactive. I'm going to share my screen here. But before we get started, Jackie made a claim that it is true, and I'm going to show you how you can do it. She said that you could do a report and build a plan in here in about 5 minutes. Now, I want to see in the chat. You guys can use any sort of funny phrase you want, but I'll go with just type in yuck if you've ever spent more than an hour working on a tax client. So we probably should see a couple different responses in there. But if you've ever spent more than an hour working on a tax client, give me a yuck or a bleh. I know we've all felt that pain before. Now, I'm going to jump right in. And what you're seeing here is our dashboard. So really the great thing about our system is it all starts with a great assistant here in Jane. And so what Jane does, Jane's our AI, J-A-I-N-E, is going to help us to build plans. So what Jane wants to do is she wants to search through our client's information. So what we typically like to start with is just uploading a form. So I'm going to click here to upload a 1040. Typically, I'll have those in my document tab. A PDF is best. Now I'm going to give this a name. So we want this tax plan for Tuesday, let's say. This is going to be our test client. And we can choose a filing status if we'd like. We can even choose an associated entity. Let's say it's a business, and I'm going to upload. Now, what's happening is Jane is actually going to go through this file here, and she's going to check through the full 1040, all the different schedules, every little line item, all the financial data. She's actually going to run all of those bits of information against pretty much the entire federal tax code, which is kind of a big statement because that's thousands of pages, right? And as you all know, if you do whittle it down to what's truly helpful and useful for most businesses, we've identified roughly about 120 to 130 strategies that are truly kind of boots on the ground, get the work done for you. So Jane's going through and she's basically calculating every number on this form against every potential strategy. Now, this usually takes enough time for you to go fill up your cold brew or warm up your coffee, depending upon your temperature preference, about 30 seconds. And it's actually going to give us here this potential estimated savings, which is fun. Jane's already found how much we could potentially save this client. So she's a great assistant, really a great worker. Now I'm going to click Create Plan, and we're going to see what she found. Now, first things first, we want to verify the data here, make sure we like what we see. Now, we're working off of last year's numbers, right? So we've got the taxable income, the total tax, the rates, as well as the state rate. And we could choose the home state here, which has been pulled for us. But let's say the client moved in the last 6 months. We can adjust that if we want to, right? Now, I can click here to view the 1040, and I want to show you guys this really quick. This is really cool. So I always like to verify, and scanning and technology has come a long way. We have incredible accuracy here, but you can always come check for yourself. So we were seeing that taxable income line on the input at the 177. We can verify that. We could see the tax amount. Now, you're also noticing that it's redacted. I did not do that. The system will auto redact these files for you. So your client's sensitive data will never make it into the cloud on the different schedules on these forms. So I'm going to come back, and if I'm happy with what I see here, I'm going to go ahead and hit save and view my suggested strategies. Now, quick note, I could make a little projected change. Let's say this year, I think that they're on pace for closer to 200,000 in taxable income. That's easy for me to adjust. So when we're thinking tax planning, we're not just historians. We're not just looking at the past, right? We're looking and planning ahead at what hasn't even happened yet. So it's important to know that you can make adjustments there. Now, I'm basically in my plan, and honestly, I'm almost done with it. So what we see here is the AI suggested strategies. These are all of the strategies that Jane has already found, already calculated, and these are associated to this actual client, this actual return. So these aren't just suggestions, these are actual strategies that are pre-calculated. Now, I'll call this out here. So the wages for hiring kids. It's found this as an opportunity. So if I scroll over this I here, basically we're asking why this strategy. Now, what Jane notices there was a schedule C, E, or F and dependents. So that's kind of the combo she was looking for. She's also given me an amount down here, the 30,000. So that descriptor is identifying the deduction opportunity for this strategy. Now we're working off the single standard deduction of the 15,000 per dependent. 2 dependents, we've got the 30,000. So if I feel like I want to add this to my plan, I still have the choice. I'm still steering the ship here. All I have to do is kick it over to the right. So now Jane's calculated it. She found it, and she basically said, here you go, Chris, would you like to use this strategy? And I said, yes. Now that's going to go into our review stage next. But before I do that, I'm going to pick a couple more. So cost seg is an opportunity. We've got some rental income. It's identified a property value, a depreciation amount. I can kick that over. Let's say hiring the kids. We also want to look at an education 529 plan. That seems like it could be a good fit. Oh, identified charitable opportunity and donations from the past. So we've got some opportunity there I could kick over. Roth contributions, that could go hand in hand with the kids being hired. Let's do that. And let's say I'm good with those strategies. I don't have to pick everything that AI suggested. But what if I had an idea of my own? Now, again, this is working off data from last year. But what if I know this client and I know that he got really into crypto in the last couple months, right? So that could be something that I know that just wouldn't show up on that form. I can kick that over. Maybe for this type of client, I'm just a huge fan of building an accountable plan. So I could kick that over too. So I have choice. And I think that's really cool because all of the work's already done for me for the low-hanging fruit, but I can come in here and advise it a little bit further. Now, I've got a good handful of strategies here that's going to make a great difference for the client. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add the Strategies, and this will take us into the review phase. So we're just one step away, basically, from getting this plan finished, but I do want to dial in some of the numbers. Now, let's call out the wages for hiring kids. And I'm sure you guys have worked with this strategy before. There are a couple nuances here, and we do actually want to provide you guys with training. Now, within our strategy library, we have more details, but even within the strategy selection and review process, we can help you read through the common details that you would need to know. And I think one of the things you guys have probably noticed when you've run into hiring dependents is reluctancy to actually understand how much you can hire them for, right? And what we've noted here is you can actually think outside the box a little bit about what a reasonable amount might be to hire your kids. You don't have to think that it has to be, $2 or $3 an hour. If you'd hire a cleaning company for $300 a month, if your child's capable of doing that cleaning, you could pay them $300 a month. Look out for ages. We haven't seen much younger than 7 make it through an audit. We've got guidelines here, compliance steps, tutorials, even third-party partners for helping with the payroll. So really the whole kind of 9 yards for implementation. Now, within the strategy and the details themselves, let's say that I want to adjust a number here. So 30,000, it's the 15,000 single standard deduction, the 2 dependents. But what if little Johnny's going off to college this fall and he hasn't participated in the business this year? Well, maybe we're just going to hire little Sally, right? So I can change that amount. Maybe little Sally, I'm just going to hire her for $1,000 a month. So I can make these adjustments and it's automatically factoring my tax savings as I'm changing the number, which is so cool. You guys just don't have to do that extra work when the spreadsheets, cells don't formulate properly. And, we all have been there. So this is actually identifying the rate that we would go with, the state side as well. I can even give myself a follow-up task to go and verify the employment agreement, the amount that we're going to be setting aside, how we're going to do it, give myself a follow-up date to make sure it gets done. And that's an important aspect of planning. It's not just suggesting strategies, it's making sure they get realized on the return, right? So now I feel really good about this strategy. I'm going to go ahead and click review and add to plan. And now this is going to be one of the strategies on my plan. And that's kind of how you would review. It doesn't take much time at all. I kind of took the scenic route there. But if you're happy with these strategies and you've run them before, it's pretty easy to just go ahead and add them. Now, some of these strategies won't be looking at the direct tax savings today. They might be following like a market growth rate, for example, for a Roth contribution, and that would be for those children. We might be looking at that crypto that I suggested, and I know that the client was investing roughly $25,000. We might be looking at a cap gain. So that's something that I could put in. An accountable plan. Maybe I'm presenting this and I want to get the numbers later, but I know on average between my home office, software, equipment, it's going to be roughly 7,500, right? So I can make my own assumptions here. And that's important to note. Maybe the cost seg is something I thought was a good idea, but after contemplation, I don't want to add it to my plan. I can kick it out. So now this is a really common kind of scenario where I've come to my conclusions. These are my workhorse strategies that I'd love to work with. They're going to do a lot of my heavy lifting, and I'm going to go ahead and create this plan. Now, this is where I'm very thankful to have Jackie and leaders like Jackie in this industry that have gone before us, done the hard work, and figured out how much should we be charging for a tax plan? Now, a lot of the industry has kind of moved towards somewhat of a percentage of estimated savings. And, it's an okay thought. At least people are going towards value. But there's more than just a number to consider when we're pricing out a plan. And so we've gone with this curb fee. And it stands for the complexity, urgency, risk, and benefits that are intangible that come into actually implementing a tax plan. And so when we look at it at the offset, we've got a number in savings. But what about the time, the expertise, the years of work you've spent to consider some sort of specialty that you're bringing to the table? There could be elements here where you've got high complexity or low, and that would adjust our fee. Maybe this client came to us right after the Thanksgiving break and they need a whole lot of stuff done in about 3 weeks. That might be high urgency. That would inform our fee. Maybe there's some risk associated. We might be doing some representation work for the client, or maybe not. Maybe it's low. And as far as the intangible benefits, we've all been there where we've suggested a strategy. Maybe we even charged a fee, but later on, we end up spending a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of back and forth, maybe even on with the IRS. Before we know it, we've spent 8 to 10 hours on this one strategy and follow-up work for the client. That intangible side adds up in scope creep, and it can really eat into our cost, right? So when we consider the actual elements that go into pricing a plan, we've gone ahead and helped you guys out with a barometer here. Now, you can make your own decision. If you say, well, this sounds pretty good, but I'd like to make it an even 3,500, you go ahead and do that. If you want to go back with the fee that we were talking about, that's great too. Whatever you decide, you've got control, but we want to provide some thought leadership and some guidance. And this is what our top firms are charging. And their clients are grateful, happy, and referring. So we can tell you it works. Now I'm going to add my fee here. And this is going to give me one last chance to make sure that I'm on top of my tasks. So Jane doesn't want me to forget about my strategies. And I do need to go make sure that I review the wages for that little Sally, right? So I'm going to make sure that by the end of the month, I do that. Now my tax plan's done. And what I've got here is a list of strategies. This is kind of a final check on the plan amount, the federal and state side. Maybe I accidentally put in a rate that I'd like to change here. I can adjust. I can even go back and look at my rates. I can look at my fees that I was charging. I could do a little bit of last minute housekeeping. But if I'm happy with the numbers that I've put together, this is where we like to start the conversation, the return on investment. Now, of course, this will be branded to you guys. I'm logged into my portal here, so it's got the TaxPlanIQ logo, but that would be for your company, your brand, or we could just kick the logo out altogether. We want this to represent your work. Now, what you're seeing is this is actually a statement identifying why, kind of what's in it for them, right? Why should they move forward with the plan? We've got a categorical breakdown of savings on the left, but we've also itemized it here on the right. This number is not just getting pulled out of a hat, right? We're showing that some work went into determining it. Now, we've got savings for current year and beyond. Some of these savings, without even lifting a finger, are going to create residual run over year over year over year. Now, over time, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, that number just continues to grow. So when we consider the value of a plan, it's not just yesterday, it's not just today getting things cleaned up, it's tomorrow, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. Now, you guys are also good tax planners. So when we look at what we're going to charge for a plan, we're going to help them get a deduction for that business expense. So your true after tax investment is actually just shy of the 3,100 here. So I like to show that as well. The client knows that you're such a good tax planner, you even tax plan your own fee. And when we look at the end of the day, minus your fee, the net savings, the growth on that, we've got a 424% ROI on this plan. Now, this money that accumulates, that's assuming tax rates don't go up, your taxable income doesn't go up. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but those two things might go up, right? So this is actually a conservative amount. But what we've done now is we've given you a one-pager that really describes the opportunity. Now, one cardinal sin we want to get away from in the industry is we may know some good facts and figures that we could share with the client, but we share them before they sign or pay. So you can show a strategy view here, but we're not big fans of breaking down the strategies and the numbers before a client has actually engaged and agreed to move forward with planning. So I want you to know there's freedom and creativity here, but I really like to suggest going with the categorical view if the client's now engaging, if this is kind of a prospect scenario. Now, that's a good conversation to jump into as well. What if this is a prospect? When you think about everything else in life right now, how good is every industry at kind of getting in your pocket, right? You can't get away from any advertising. Everybody's pretty good at selling to you. The accounting industry hasn't always been a leader in how to present value. Nothing against anybody here on the call. It's just I know that it's not well known that accountants are the best salespeople on earth, right? No, we don't want to be salesy, but we do want to present value. So what we've gone ahead and done is created a presentation. It's very editable. You can make sure that this represents you and looks like you, but it actually describes the value of what you're going to be doing here. I've also found over the years that it's actually not healthy to make the assumption the client knows what planning is. In many cases, they're thinking, well, when you filed, why couldn't you find that deduction from me? And they're describing a deduction that was never taken because the action wasn't taken. And they're kind of describing tax fraud. Do you mean we should have made things up? But they just don't know. They don't know what they're asking. So what we like to describe is really the process of how planning works. There's the conversation around income you might need today, income you might need tomorrow, the analysis of how those work together, and the tax implications today and tomorrow. On top of the day-to-day activities with optimizing deductions for the individual, the business, entity structuring, the tax loopholes and credits that come and go with different administrations. This is an ongoing effort that you're running for them. So there's a lot of value now, today, tomorrow. Now, we can also look at kind of an entity and associated party view. So maybe we have an individual, a property, a business, a partner. We can look at the full picture. And I think most importantly, we want the client to understand, Jackie was hitting on TAS. TAS is the word of the moment. Tax advisory service means that we're advising them throughout the year on anything that has a tax implication. What does that mean? That means that we're actually going to be presenting and proposing strategy ongoing. We'll be planning, and while we finalize a tax plan, it's never really done. It's kind of a living document, and a plan's only as good as how much we execute. So we're really strongly suggesting that you do have touch points with your client throughout the year. Sometimes once a month, that's really white glove, but at the very least once a quarter, we can evaluate progress on the strategies, implementation. Maybe there's something new that happened in their life or business, something new that's happened to the tax law. There could be a strategy that exists today that didn't in June, right? So there's stuff that we could touch on. And then if all of that represents the actual return, the savings, the strategies, the work, then when we prepare to file, we're not preparing to overpay that amount that we would have had to pay that we don't, right? The clients deserve to know that there's two numbers. There's the number the IRS will allow you to pay, and then there's the second smaller number that you actually have to pay. That's after a tax plan, right? And over time, that number really does grow. Now, year one, what are the big opportunities? You can kind of touch on that. What's the ROI? Year two, what are we going to continue to work on? Where's the ROI there? And over time. I just love showing this page because of that growth. And this is really why the clients work with you. They want to save money, make money. They're not as concerned about the coffee you're serving in your office or the college that you went to. Those things can be important. Clients care about their money. So when we put that first, and we're timely, and we're polite, and we're friendly, that's really what gets them happy, and that's what gets them referring, right? Now, this is a page that takes the need for sales ability off the table, because anybody can ask the client. You do have, the freedom and ability to not move forward with the plan. We will most likely overpay by about $16,000 when we file, so that's not money you can keep. But if we do go ahead and invest in the plan, we can avoid the overpayment, and you can net that difference to invest back in the business and your personal life, almost $1,000 a month in cash flow. Which one looks best to you? Not a hard question to ask, a very hard question to answer if you're looking at the top line. It's very rare that you're going to hear somebody say that one works best for me, right? So again, we try to take the salesy part out of it. This is just about presenting really good facts and information that the client should agree with. Next steps, engagement letter, onboarding meeting, finalize the plan. And guess what? The plan is actually finalized already. Now, if you want to hit the chat again, if anybody's ever spent more than 20, 30 minutes fixing a PDF where a font didn't come through properly and you're copy and pasting and oops, I presented it with the wrong name on it, I'm sure you can comment there that that's happened to you as well. Here, this is automated. This is going to represent your client, your firm, the strategies and savings that you chose with really little to no editing necessary at all. It's done with a click. Now, for the client's sake, they get to learn about the strategy, the opportunities, the risks, the to-dos, the things that they're going to need to get done, and how these strategies work. I really like that this actually gives them a tutorial, a one page on each, so they understand the strategies and we can consult them. This works as a roadmap. But it's not so forensic that it gives them so much information they don't need you anymore. This is to refer back to. And this is to keep that sticky relationship where they keep coming back and saying, okay, what next? So while my strategies list out here at about 6 today, there could be 16 by the end of December. I want to engage them now, show them what's possible, and then continue to show value over time. And reports like these really help to do that. Now, jumping back into the dashboard, I had mentioned earlier, I kind of took the scenic route on that. That took, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. Typical tax plan for me when I'm running them, like Jackie said, about 5 minutes. Now, what's fun about this is I might have 5 clients, I might have 500. You can upload one at a time like I just did, 20 at a time, 100 at a time, and it will actually create that cascading list of the estimated savings. So you can take kind of a creative approach, a really thoughtful approach about how this might roll out to your client base. All you have to do is upload your 1040s there and it will create the list. Jane will identify who should we go for first that stands the most to save. So I really like that. Now, with my workflow, the way I like to look at this is I see my clients here, my strategies that I've, my actual plans that I've published. This is a fun little live ticker. So this actually shows the total amount in savings across the clients that you've worked with. I recently refreshed my dashboard here, but if this was, 50 or 500, we'd be saving, you've seen savings in the millions, maybe even hundreds of millions. And some of our clients will go ahead and put that on their social media, on their website, on the landing page, kind of show this is what we do. We save our clients money. Now, getting to the kind of the meat of getting a tax plan done. Tasks and to-dos, what is that? So this is where we actually organize what needs to happen next. So these tasks are actually associated to clients, actual strategies, due dates. I can assign these to team members, keep up to date with notes on where we're at. It's really critical to make sure that we're getting our plans done. And to that length, I did want to show you guys the tax strategy opportunities. So if we called out, I think it was the hiring kids we were talking about earlier. When we talk about a strategy, it's one thing, but actually getting the strategy done is another. So we've walked you through the real world elements of how these strategies actually play out, the internal processes that we need to understand, resources and training to get this right, as well as downloadable materials and worksheets. And then, of course, the tasks that actually need to get done to implement. We've given you guys the blueprint. All you have to do is follow it. And this is actually very scalable. This is great educational material for your employees. This really allows you guys to plug people in and empower them to do plans for you. At the end of the day, success looks like you guys working less and making more. That happens by empowering your team. So I did want to show you that. And back to the dashboard. Once my tasks are sorted, to-dos, these would represent things that I'm asking my client for. Might be a P&L, a balance sheet, something that they're uploading into the system. I can sort things there. And then for future purposes, I actually really like to look at these numbers here. So this is actually representing a live ticker really on strategies that are creating the most savings across firm users. So this can kind of show you, give you a fingerprint on the pulse of what's popular at the moment, what's actually saving people money, and a live view of what you guys have been doing. I know that when we start to get into a niche focus, we can call out specific strategies sometimes in our prospecting. We might notice that a certain strategy is creating a lot of buzz, a lot of savings. That's something we'd want to put a little bit more focus on. Maybe that's something that we want to do a newsletter on, something that we want to disseminate that knowledge back out to the rest of our client base on. So this keeps you a little bit up to date on kind of what's happening now. Now, as far as the kind of basic functionality here, I'll give you guys a chance to, potentially ask some questions. We can stop here, Jackie, if you want to jump in. But I'm hoping for everybody that was watching that at least did a little bit of what you were hoping it did.
Yeah, we're getting some good questions in the chat. I don't know if you want to go ahead and maybe just show them the tax strategy library
Yeah,
and our educational offerings as well, and then we can kind of open it back up to general Q&A.
perfect. So something that we do like to highlight is that we're constantly evolving kind of how we look at the tax law and how we look at strategy. So I had called out the hiring kids earlier, but the list goes on. There's so much opportunity in here. I know one that's come up a lot that's kind of fun, content creator and influencer income optimization. This comes up a lot. You might have a business owner or a spouse that's gotten into this, and all of a sudden they're getting all these affiliate revenues in and they're making more than their spouses, right? So how can we categorize those expenses? How can we get deductions there? What needs to happen for those strategies to get implemented? And when things like this are common or even just relevant, a sign of the times, we do like to highlight that we can offer you guys perspective. So a lot of our trainings, you'll be able to utilize the system and get to this information whenever you want. Middle of the night, if you're up and can't sleep and you want to do some tax planning, you can. But if it's during business hours and you want to talk to a real live individual over here on our team, we actually have a growth element. This is what I think gets most of us that work here excited about being here, is we can go one-to-one and consult with you. You could book right on the calendar to meet with a professional that's actually worked in the industry, that does this day to day, that helps to implement strategy, to talk about really anything in regards to growing your business. This is reviewing a plan, talking about your strategies for your goal setting, looking at how to scale the business. We've been able to collect so much knowledge after working with so many firms. We've grown as we've worked with more of you as well. And that's helped us to really have a well-rounded perspective on how to assist and coach and guide the growth of your guys' firms. We have a lot of those trainings here built into the system as well, as you can see, highlighting the Big Beautiful Bill Act, how to build strategic partnerships with other advisory firms. The list goes on the amount of trainings that you have available to you on demand. On top of which, when we think about growing is about getting out there and talking to clients. And that may not just be upselling to existing clients, that could be to prospects. So how can we market? How can we get the word out there? I could tell all you guys and anybody out there that's doing any sort of prospecting, converting appointments is a little bit easy right now. We've had a change to tax law. Clients are curious. There's strategy conversations happening online. People are turning their heads. They're thinking about it. We're also here at Q4. We're at the end of the year when tax planning is already pretty easy to bring up. So this is a great time for you guys to be thinking, not just how can I serve the clients I currently work with, who else should get the opportunity to come work with us and save money? And that's a mission we want you guys on, thinking about not just how can we grow our firms, how many taxpayers out there can we touch that will overpay if we let them get to December 31st without a plan? I would hope that any client that you're currently working with at least gets first right to refusal to not overpay. I always like to look at it that way. If you can make sure that they all know they could save, that's our mission. And whether or not they choose to move forward, you can lead a horse to water, right? You can even try to dunk their head. They might drown, but you can't make them drink. So, but at least let them know. So this is something that makes me really excited to be here. I love working with our growth consultants. I learn every day that I'm here, but it's a huge highlight for sure.
All right, Chris, I love the way that you just stated that. There's a good question here from Dan. How is using a tool like this different than using something like BNA Tax Planner or Tax Planner CS, where you're just projecting out the current year and maybe next year? I've gotten pushback from my team. We used a competitor software in the past and stopped using it because my team couldn't use it to project out the current year taxable income. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think that a couple questions there. We really do like to define what tax planning means when we
Mhm.
use this system. So for me, and I think for a lot of us, when we view tax planning, we think of it as certainly we want to determine what they might owe, but then how much can we reduce that by? So there are systems out there that can project Mr. and Mrs. Client, you will most likely owe X. There is some value in telling somebody what they'll owe. We believe there's a lot more value in going beyond that to showing them how they can reduce that number. So I think that's where TaxPlanIQ lives, is we determine what they're going to owe, but then the value is that we actually chop that down legally within compliance and with step-by-step tutorials. And it doesn't mean there aren't other good tools out there, but from all the thousands of tax plans I've done, I haven't found a system that does it this accurately, this quickly, and actually takes the workload of defining and identifying the strategy off my plate. Jane does it all for me.
Awesome. Well said. Yeah. And then someone was asking earlier about if you could show how to customize the fees or add a third party fee and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we could pull that up. So if I go in and let's say I'm building out the ROI fees here. Um, so when we're considering the fee, obviously I can adjust this to whatever I want. Now I can put third-party fees or previous year fees in here. This is very customizable. So you guys can do it. If you want to show prior year fees, you can do that. If you want to build in third-party fees, you can do that. Now, if you already know what you want to do, this is where you would do it. If you're trying to determine your partnerships, how you would associate those different fees, if we're looking at the task model, we might be quarterbacking a lot of different elements, but we may not actually be the ones doing them. We do have our training. I just wanted to highlight again, if you need help on identifying partners and programs that would build together kind of those elements. So a lot of our trainings do go into that, but that's technically how you would do it. So again, within each client's plan, you can go in and customize these fees, and then that will end up on your deliverable.
Awesome. So Richard asked, is the fee based on ROI? So again, I'll defer it to Chris because I've been talking about this for years and years, but I want to hear the way that Chris explains it. So Chris, what would you say?
Yeah, it's what's in it for them. So it's what's in it for them first, but then it's also for you guys, what's in it for you. So I know we talk a lot about making sure we provide the client value, but how many times and how many years have you guys been doing good work and good things for them and it doesn't get recognized? Now, I don't want to make the client the bad guy. They're not the bad guy, but you guys don't get recognized enough. So that's why we didn't just go with return on investment as far as just the financial metric. We went into the intangibles of what it actually requires to do planning. I do want to, we're here to present us. So in the industry, there's a lot of options out there. Something I'm really proud of to work here and work with the individuals that I get to work with is that we will actually go side by side with you and coach you on these elements. Transitioning to planning, it's a good idea and it's a hot topic right now. How you actually do it, thinking about even just implementation. When you're charging for a plan, let's say you save somebody 30 grand, you charge them 10, you went with the 30% off. That's a popular thing in the industry. What if there's so much heavy lifting that you eat through that $10,000 in staff fees over one weekend? What happens then, right? That's why we want to be here to help you. So direct answer to the question, ROI does really mean the return on investment, but also the time, the risk, the intangible side. But I just want to remind you guys, we could be here to walk you through that. You don't have to figure that out all today.
For sure. And actually, I added a slide which Jason and Lauren might, they don't have it yet, but I'll show at the end of our presentation. We're actually running what we call a 10 days to close a tax plan challenge kicking off on September 22nd. And I was just working on all the materials, and it literally answers every single one of these questions that you tend to come up with and pop in here. And so that's going to be a great way to work one-on-one and in our team as a group. And then I'm leading it myself, which I haven't done in a couple years. So I'm pretty excited about that. I would love to show y'all anything else within TaxPlanIQ that you'd like to see or know about. And then once we're through with that, I can flip back over to our slides, and then we can end with a special offer for y'all and tell you more about the challenge as well.
Yeah. So Jackie and Chris, this is phenomenal. I love it.
Thank you.
But I think embedded in some of the questions really makes sense. I think really as a profession, as a profession, we're trying to change too. I think we have a lot of traditional practices around tax planning. Even that phrase means certain things, and I think we saw it. And it's true for us too, where tax planning for us is to show the client a calculation of what they're going to owe next year. And that's for a long time, that's been a great value to the client because our goal was for them not to be surprised. And clients are kind of getting wise. They're wanting more. They're starting to go, and I think they've always expected this from firms. They're like, no, take some of that away. I'm asking you to take some of the taxes away from me. And as a profession, I think we've scratched our head. We're like, dude, it is what it is, man. All I did was key your stuff in. If you run a business, this is what you're going to owe. And we had some basic stuff like a retirement plan or try to, get them to buy some equipment. We had some pretty basic tools. So I think I like that you have a different phrase for this because this is almost not really the traditional tax planning that we've always known it to be. These really are strategies, I guess. That's this tax advisory, strategies. And we're trying to teach the client to start operating differently, behaving differently. So it starts to call us into working with them, sometimes monthly and quarterly. But I think some of us feel nervous about doing that. I think, Jackie, you've been in this profession a long time. We feel weird. Sometimes we feel icky going, are these those claims, that everybody can save somebody putting all their stuff in a trust and then they never have to pay taxes again? And I think we're being shown that it's not that, but our profession, or Jackie, do you think our profession is bumping up against that feeling of trying to move to something that is valuable, but traditionally as accounting people, as tax people, we feel it's always been something else. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts about how the profession feels about this work?
I think the profession is becoming much more open to it. There's different compressors of, AI technology coming in with making our data and compliance a lot more automated. It just is what it is. It's going to make tax prep better for everybody. And us leaning into, well, where does that leave us in the profession, right? And where I strongly believe it leaves us is instead of looking at that reactive side of everything, which is a typical compliance job that we've all done at some point in the past, we do start looking forward. And honestly, I think it's really a disservice when we don't look forward and we don't ask the questions. It's all about just being a detective and asking the right questions of the client, discovering what's going on with them, and then utilizing the tax code to you and the client's best benefit. It's knowledge is power, and that's what we're enabling people to do here, which is really exciting.
Yeah, Chris, I don't know, you may have other thoughts too, but I think our profession's trying to grow and change in this way.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely on everybody's minds. I talk to a lot of our active clients and people that are just taking a look. And so I hear a lot of this, and I think it's not really anymore should we, it's kind of how,
Mm.
right? There's a general attitude towards we should be saving people money, and we're realizing there's more than just go buy a car, right? Or 401k. There's a little bit more, right? And so I think what our efforts are constantly going into is just showing you guys, okay, here are the steps. So, but I think everybody on this call wants to save their clients money, wants the client to recognize that. And I'm sure most people on this call wouldn't mind getting paid for it.
Yeah. Well, I think we're starting to feel the courage to ask to be paid for high value things, and traditionally, again, if we would charge, $1,500 for a fall tax plan, we're learning if we can take 20 or 30 grand away from the client, we get to ask for $8, $9, $10,000. And that feels weird to us, but we've done it. The clients are like, yeah, I'll pay you. And it's like, wow, will you? The clients aren't pushing back when you really show them, a lot of that high value. So pretty amazing. Well, cool. Well, I think, so we'll probably go about an hour. Jackie, if you're good, I think we've tackled a lot of the questions and you might have some other things to show.
For sure. Yeah. Someone was asking
slides.
a great question about pushback, and I was typing that, but I think it's maybe good to bring up to everyone. There are timing differences in planning, right? And you do need to factor that into your strategies. So some of these strategies are deferrals, some are permanent tax eliminations, like hiring your kids is permanent. It's not something they're going to have to pay tax on later. Putting money in a retirement plan is a deferral. But here's the kicker about deferrals is that if you look at, which I learned this from Ron Baker, because I had him look at my ROI method and criticize it, there's always the present value of the future benefit, right? And so even if you're deferring taxes, you're still easily getting a 5 to 10% annual value on the growth of that for the future. And so I like to factor in deferrals in our curb calculation within the benefits that you're giving the client. So if the majority of the strategies I pick are deferrals, I tend to say it's a low intangible benefit. If the majority of the strategies I pick are permanent, I know that's a huge benefit for the client, right? So you can adjust your curb factors and your pricing to reflect for that as well. So definitely wanted to talk about that. I love all the questions coming in. Chris, anything else that you wanted to go over before I switch over to the end slides?
I think I can tell you guys just feedback that I've witnessed a lot of firms that have done this for the first time, not planning, but used a system like this. I think just to put it out there, there's not going to be a huge, like, we're going to teach you strategies you've never heard of. That can happen. So we don't want you to think that like you guys don't know strategies, so you have to work with us to learn them. We will teach. We love to instruct. We love to lead. But getting these strategies at your fingertips and not forgetting them, we have to not forget that that's a huge value. And when we have Jane, literally her job is to look through all of these strategies for every client and to pre-calculate them. Just think about the benefit of having a system like that, where for every one of your clients, you can identify two things: all the things they could do, which there's value in, but then you get to decide all the things that they probably should do. And that's probably what you'll present. So I just always like to highlight that. This just completely opens up that access, so every client gets access to all that information.
Okay. So yeah, I just popped in the chat. We do have some more advanced strategies. We do a very thorough due diligence process on them. There's one called leverage charitable donations that is just going through our due diligence process now, and will probably be adding as a preferred vendor and strategy We also have all the OBBBA strategies that are coming too. So there's about 20 we're adding into the system as we speak to auto suggest for you. Car loan interest deduction, which is new under OB3, is already here. So we're constantly just keeping you kind of on the cutting edge or the leading edge. And then you and your clients decide how aggressive or conservative. We're never going to be breaking the law with anything we suggest, right? So yeah, awesome. Okay. So I'm gonna steal back the screen here and we'll show you the last few slides. Also, I wasn't going to do this, but I actually just finished a manuscript version of a book I'm releasing just for advisors that kind of deep dives into a lot of these Q&A as well. It's not coming out yet, but I'm going to pop the book waitlist link into the chat. If you would like to get some free chapters and, you know, really kind of become my insider VIP list of this book, which I've put a lot of love into, then please definitely join that wait list. So here it is. Wow, it is so hard to type and talk and copy all at the same time. Okay. All right, let me reshare here. Awesome. Okay, so Chris, you want to walk us through these last few slides real fast? Or I can handle it, no worries. Are you muted?
I'm sorry, rookie mistake. I had my mute on. I'm happy to answer.
No worries.
I was, you were talking about navigating and talking. You did a better job than I did. So, well, great. Yeah. So as far as kind of navigating through solving challenges, I think that tax planning, I want to highlight, is such a great net to cast to get new clients. When we can think of why are, you know, these people going to come and work with us, should the most unique thing about us be that we cost less than somebody else?
No.
Probably not, right? How about that we make you and save you more than you're used to, right? So getting new clients, staffing. When we can actually charge more, we can hire better, we can have better systems. And it's not charge more just to charge more. It's not just milk is $10 now for who knows what reason, right? This is charge more to give more. So for staffing, I think it's huge. We've all run into those issues of getting quality staff. Our margins play into that, and improving profit margins. That's a huge part of what Jackie hit on. One tax plan can replace about 20 1040s. And it doesn't mean that you don't file the 1040, right? But in so many cases, you're exchanging like a $5 bill for $1 when you think about the ROI. We can charge $10,000, $20,000, $50,000. I've seen clients charge $100,000 for a tax plan. We see the savings.
I never did that. I capped out at about 50K, but that's still pretty good, right?
I've seen it. Yeah. 50 is amazing. Yeah. And you're so generous and so nice, Jackie. So we might have some sharks in the comment thread here. Not enough time in the day. That goes back again to the amount of work that we could be doing versus what we should be doing. Jackie pared down from hundreds to dozens of clients, but more than tripled her revenue. And the profit margin is really the big thing. So not enough time in the day. We want you guys to be directing the business, not stuck in it. And tax planning really does open up that door. And then client retention, which also leads into client acquisition, because the clients that stay when you're saving them money talk about you. And they have something better to say than they do a good job filing for me, which doesn't really get a lot of people excited to call you. But when Joe gets to say, oh man, Jackie saved me 50K last year, you should talk to her. That's relevant. That actually comes up over coffee. So keeping clients because they appreciate the work, those clients help you grow. So those are some of the things that we really do see this solving. And I know you guys probably have your own challenges, but the cool thing is if you're working with us, you can bring those unique challenges up, and we're always, available to walk through them with you.
For sure. Yeah. And then I realized I didn't directly answer someone's question earlier about staff pushback, but we have a lot of ways that we can support you through that. Our top growth plan, which I'll show you momentarily, includes 5 users default. And so we want your team to come in, get the training, understand the aha moments just like you, and go from there. So Chris, you want to talk about our different plans here?
Absolutely. So our standard plan, this is going to unlock unlimited access to the tax plans. So every one of your clients gets one. And that's something that we really believe in. Now, it gives you multiple users. So you and at least a key member of the firm we want involved. The key with that is as time goes on, we want you guys to step away from having to do most of the work and having your staff do it. So that's why we start with 2 out of the gates. Find yourself a partner in crime here. Now, it's going to cover everything pretty much that we went through today. So the training, unlimited plans, the uploads of all the files, Jane, who is at the heart of finding all of these strategies for you, the full tax strategy hub with all of the training associated to the strategies there. Of course, all of the materials are white labeled. So when I was showing you guys like ROI presentation, if you ever notice TaxPlanIQ on it, we're not trying to go brand ourselves all over your stuff. We're not Apple. We don't constantly need people looking at us. You guys have your branding on there. You're going to get a client portal. This is a place where you can coordinate with the client. That's also branded to you. Access to our weekly tax labs and concierge consultants. And that's in Q&A format, and we can answer direct questions. And then our webinars are awesome. If you guys enjoyed anything you heard today, people much smarter than myself are leading those, and they would love to provide you guys with knowledge. And then, of course, you get all the chat, email, and phone support. That's our standard plan. This is a great fit for a lot of folks that work with us. Jackie, if you want, here we go. So I want you guys to think about all of the features that you saw today, how easy it would be for you guys to do plans with it. But what if you had somebody even smarter than me, somebody just as fun and engaging as Jackie, walking alongside you to do all of this? How much of an impact could that make to the bottom line in implementing this? That is our growth plan. So growth includes everything that we talked about in standard. It kicks 3 more employees in, huge. And these could be tax preparers that we can now transition into being tax planners with this system. So think about that. Think about some of your key tax preparers that they could actually be triggering tax plans for you. Now, the big deal here is you get that 1-to-1 office hours with our concierge consultants to review plans, ensure best practices, go through all these elements of growth. And as a result of working with those team members, what we really believe in is kind of putting our money where our mouth is. If you guys are willing to work with us and you're willing to implement the system the way we're suggesting, and you're willing to ask the right questions, this program actually on the growth side comes with a 100% money back guarantee. And you're not going to find that elsewhere in the market. What that means is you guys are going to make your money back. Obviously, that's not the goal. The goal is for you guys to make a lot more than that. But if you don't make every single penny back that you spent with us, we'll just give it back to you. Why can we make that claim? Because we know that if you actually go through this process and you get these plans in front of your clients, they will decide that they don't want to overpay on taxes. If you stand on the principle that you're valuable, you're as valuable as the tax plan that you're showing, then you're going to charge appropriately and they're going to pay you. And if you run into any needs for help in that, or just, guidance, just a cheerleader on your side, somebody to train you, that's what our consultants are here for. So we will walk you through it. Now, conditions, we do need to make sure that you guys actually completed some work. We didn't institute this policy so you can buy it, forget about it, and in 11 and a half months get your money back. It's not a savings account. So we don't do that. But as long as you guys have actually completed some work in there, you can see the conditions here, that you've done at least 10 tax plans that you've gone through the trainings. That's just what we want to see, that you guys actually did some work. Now we have a special offer for you guys. Jackie, do you want to jump into that?
Sure. So we are offering y'all 20% off whatever plan you'd like to sign up for. So that's the best discount and offer that we have out there. You can use code Thriveal20, and I don't think there's a period after it. So forgive me if that accidentally added to the webinar slide. That's the accountant of me being like, oh, that's not right. So you're essentially getting our top growth plan for very close to the standard plan pricing. I paid, 10 grand plus for coaching and back in the day, and we include all of that and the one-on-one coaching and whatnot in the growth plan. And so it's really been quite a blessing to our users to be able to go to this plan offering. We just kicked it off last year. So your deadline on this is a special day. It's my birthday this Friday, September 12th. So you can reach out to our team or to Chris if you want to pop your contact info in the chat. If you do have any other questions or concerns, we're happy to help you out. So please just reach out. And I did throw in a few tips on the new OB3, which I'm not going to dive into big detail here to respect your time, but we've just got some little cheat sheets as to what types of clients to look at for different AGI levels and different types of OBBBA strategies. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, or once you become a TaxPlanIQ user, we have a full OB3 webinar that has gotten tremendous reviews because I get so passionate about this stuff. I try to make it as fun as possible as we go through it. But you can refer to the slide deck if you'd like to go through that information as well. And then this is the 10-day challenge that we're kicking off for the first time in about 2 to 3 years. We haven't done this in a while, and it's only for our existing TaxPlanIQ users. So we'll actually meet 3 times a week over a 2-week period. I've got like 3-minute videos for homework that you watch to walk you through every single step of that creation of the plan, which is pretty darn easy now, right? To closing the deal, which is what I get the most questions about, and then implementing the plan with TaxPlanIQ. So I would love to have y'all join us. If you come into TaxPlanIQ before September 22nd, you can do that. Now, your keyword for CPE is the special word I said earlier, tax advisory services. I'm still hoping for that to catch on. And I think that was about it. So Jason, thank you so much for y'all's time. We'll hang tight here if there's anything further we can do for you.
Yeah. No, this was great. Yeah. So Jackie, we're going to know if it catches on. You're the one who said it, right?
It's all me.
It's all you. So
we'll have some TAS hats next time.
We need some
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Just watch out what color you make.
On the topic of CPE, for anybody finishing out their year and realizing they need to get some done, our growth program does provide you with 36 credits. So that training you're going to get is CPE credited. So remember that as well.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you, Chris and Jackie, for doing this. This is so cool. I hope, like, if a lot of people attending are like me, I'm thinking about particular clients right now. I'm thinking, if I put, and I think what you said, if we get any one of these plans, Jackie, we can get 100 of, the 2024 returns, dump them into the product.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about it. Because someone's like, who's the best fit client? You don't even have to figure that out anymore. Just grab 100 of your clients' 1040 PDFs, throw them into TaxPlanIQ. It'll sort them by estimated tax savings. And we're even adding estimated fees into those fields in the draft client area in the next probably 2 to 4 weeks. So you'll not only see how much savings you can get for a client, but you'll see how you can price that, which is going to be probably a big eye opener for our users. So we've made it so foolproof. Like, just throw the stuff in there. We'll do a lot of the work for you, and then just support you through bringing the best value that you can to everybody.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Well, cool. Well, I think we got everybody. Last question: do you upload the 1040 and the business returns too? they keep throwing questions in here.
I know. So yeah, we're happy to continue the convo. No problems at all. No worries, Dan.
That's good.
So right now we support the 1040, which is going to have a lot of the pass-through items from the S Corp and partnership returns, and then all the Schedule C items on there. We will be adding C Corp support and then other business returns to really drill in further to those nitty-gritty details of like depreciation expense or things like that that you might only find on that side. But just start easy. Start with the 1040. I promise you, you're going to find a ton of stuff that you probably didn't think about or hadn't had really time to think about in the past. Do easy, low-hanging fruit in this phase of planning. Start pricing bigger, and then you can do a phased approach to expand into other areas of tax planning and strategy too. Very
cool. Well, so I don't have to rely on just making my clients an S Corp anymore.
Right.
So there's more out there.
They heard that one on TikTok already.
Okay, right. Your TikTok has blown the cover on flipping a client to an S Corp.
Gotta go a little deeper. Gotta go a little deeper.
Right. Gotta go a little bit deeper. TikTok has blown the cover.
Yeah.
So good stuff. All right. Well, great. Thank you, Chris and Jackie. This was so amazing. We'll be following up with everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you use yes to put in the form that Lauren's going to send you, and we'll shoot you some CPE. So cool.
Beautiful.
We're out. Thank you, Jackie and Chris.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.